perfect. I heard the click synchronize right there.
Yeah, dude, we're crushing it.
We're crushing it. Well, Craig, any news today? Gets right into the news.
Yeah, we just get right into it.
I don't know if I can play any games. Craig, do you have any news today?
No, I don't have any news, but you did mention before we started recording that you wanted to bully the British people.
Oh yeah, fuck British people. I'm of course kidding. Don't fuck them. They're Yui. Also kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Honestly though, I've been like, if you're an everyday Stories of the Boys listener, you probably heard Craig talk mad shit on British people. He doesn't watch entertainment that includes British people because he can't follow along with their accents. It's just not enjoyable for him. And ever since he said that, I've been like noticing more British accents popping up here and there on like TV, or like I watch a YouTube video, and it honestly like triggers me like a little bit. And like, just like fucking isn't it? Like, stop saying isn't it? Stop saying like fucking bruv. Don't say bruv.
Oi, bruv. Oi, bruv. You want to get your ass kicked? And that's what they say.
That was awesome. There's just like so many examples of just shit. You're like, hey, like take 5. But I mean, I still respect their culture and like everything about them wholeheartedly. This is just
I was gonna say, in the podcast where we originally talked about this, I did say this is more than likely, and by more than likely, 100% due to me just being uncultured swine.
Exactly.
So
yeah, we don't know anything.
Yeah,
just two Kansas hicks that don't know a thing or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Gordon Ramsay. Like,
right?
Come on, it's fine, guys.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Harry Potter. He's a stupid.
What if they were all like Scottish?
I was just gonna ask. Here's a stupid question: is like Daniel Radcliffe like British? Is that stupid?
I'm like 99.9% sure he's British. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I like Tom Holland. I like Benadryl Cabbage Patch. I like all those kinds of folks. So we're cool.
Fun fact about Daniel Radcliffe is that he is a fan of the Detroit Lions.
Who fucking cares about the Detroit Lions aside from him?
I think that's like a weird tidbit. He's just like, I love the Detroit Lions. I'm like, that's weird, bro, but okay.
It's kind of funny. Do they do the thing like at games where he's like sitting in the stands and everyone's like, oh, it's Daniel.
Well, I think his I don't know if he's married, but his either wife or girlfriend is like from Detroit originally.
Oh, I see.
So like her whole family is Lions fans. So he's just like, I'm here for it, dude.
That's
I love football.
That's what's up. I like that. I like that about a gentleman that's just willing to be like, I'll get into this for you, sweetie. It's just that's a good segue. Last week we treated you to some love advice, and I hope and pray to God that it helped you in your time of need, especially if you didn't have a loving sweetie to kiss on that whole day. But that's okay.
Yeah, we're really hoping that it turns off into a spinoff, and you guys will pay us money to give more relationship advice every week.
If you guys want that, you give us just copious amounts of funds.
Yeah,
and
we'll do it for $500 a pop, like monthly each.
Yeah, like per advice, $500.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, we're assuming it was like god tier levels of, knowledge.
Which it was. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Okay, so now that we've talked about, hey, I'm British. Now we talked about, fuck Ohio. We'll get that out of the way.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Got that out of the way. Twitter is stories_boys. Okay, we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Another thing.
Yes.
I've been pushing this on Reddit a little bit too. So if you see me on Reddit, holler. But at some point, we would like to do, we would like to tell your guys' stories too. So if you have an interesting story that is crazy, or spooky, or funny,
spooky,
whatever, you can DM us on Twitter, which once again is @stories_boys, or email us at storieswiththeboyspod@gmail.com. And we run both of those, so we will read it. If it's good, we might tell it on the podcast someday. We'll probably collect them if we get enough, and then just do an episode of it. But that's something we'd like to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few, but they're not good, so you really gotta make them fucking pop.
Yeah, it needs to be you shit your pants while sitting on a stranger's lap or something. Like, I need it to be
specifically something like that.
And a ghost is the reason
there we go.
you shit your pants.
That's the reason. I'm looking for more spooky stuff. It'll be directed directly to me, and I'll be the judge of that. But if it's more like pooping on someone's pee-pee, that's more correct jurisdiction. So
pooping on someone's pee-pee.
You know, the quad pee, the poo-poo pee-pee situation.
Yeah, poo-poo pee-pee. That's my kind of humor.
That's poo-poo pee-pee. Yeah, of course. Okay, so we did our obligatory poo-poo pee-pee situation. I think we're ready, Craig. Unless you have any other bits of information.
I got nothing. That's all the housekeeping.
Excellent. It's not monotonous. We're just trying to get a routine down. All right, because you and I both know goons that we don't have a fucking intro. We don't know how to do it, so we're trying to get a routine.
I'm gonna pay someone to do the intro.
I actually have an idea, and if you guys want to get a hold of, I forgot her name. Fuck. If you get a hold of the voice actress for Katara from The Legend of Zelda, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know why I thought of Zelda. If you get her, then I will give her a little bit of money, like $20 or something, to like recreate the Avatar intro.
$20?
Yeah, like around there. I want her to create the Avatar intro, but it's gonna like have words that I put in there. It's gonna be an epic like intro like that, the boys. Storytelling was so dreary and boring until the boys came around and stuff like that. It's gonna be epic. We're gonna do that. So
yeah,
get a hold of her,
and we'll pay a freelance video editor like, I don't know, $10.
10.
Just like to draw like a bunch of really cool images. We'll turn it into a video. He'll have to do all the work, of course.
100%.
But that's like $10. We'll do $10.
I guess if he does like 100% of the work and doesn't ask too many questions and does it exactly how I want in my brain, then yeah, we'll give him $8.
Yeah, but and if he if he asks questions, like, I'm deducting money from the total.
Per word per question is a deduction, $1 each word.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. Well, then, without further ado, Craig, you told me that you have an exciting, good, riveting, storytelling piece of history for me.
Yeah. So, as we all know, February is Black History Month.
Hell yeah!
I imagine it's a worldwide thing, but I have only traveled to one other country, so I don't know, and it was not February either of those times. But so it's Black History Month. So obviously, while our topic is history, we definitely would like to include that because it is very important that I'm 25 and it feels like I learn something new every day. And I was basically just told in school that this dude, George Washington Carver, invented peanut butter, and Martin Luther King got shot. And we're like, wow, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
And then once you get to live a little bit, you're like, wow, they didn't teach me anything except for what the white people did, which is not ideal. So they're like, George Washington's fine, but he did own slaves. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard of a woman named Josephine Baker?
There's some sort of like actress.
Yeah, so she was kind of sort of. She was an American-born French entertainer. So
pornography?
No, not porn.
Okay.
Her real name is Frida Josephine Mcdonald. She was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and she, when it all comes down to it, she was an entertainer, a civil rights activist, and a French resistance agent. So she lived a very, very interesting life. Growing up in St. Louis, she was very poor. Family was very poor.
Yeah.
She was, very young, working jobs, and eventually started like dancing on the street corner, you see it all the time. In big cities, people busk is what it's called. They'll dance, and they'll have a hat, you throw money in, whatever. So she would do that all the time, and that's kind of how she helped contribute to the family. But she spent nights, like homeless nights, like she slept in cardboard, like not a joke, like a lot of rough nights. She was married at 12.
Oh my goodness.
She was married for the second time at 15.
So the 12-year-old relationship didn't work out?
Yeah, it did not work out.
Dang.
Her second husband, I believe his name was Willie Baker. So that's where she got the name Baker, and she obviously decided not to go by Frida anymore and preferred Josephine. So now she's Josephine Baker. Very, 15. She eventually gets discovered, but like, I don't know, she goes to Broadway and performs like in a choir or a little background dancer thing on Broadway for like a spell. So not really a big break. Didn't really get paid much. And let's be real, it was like the 20s.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, black people really didn't get treated so well.
Right, unfortunately.
So, believe it or not, Josephine Baker fucking hated America.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, she was like, she hates America.
People of her ethnicity in the 1930s, 20s, I don't know why they would really hate.
No, absolutely, yeah. And then like for the next like 40 years, and on also. But so she went to France. Now there's a lot more to it, but she basically started doing like her mom didn't really approve that she was a dancer or like her entertainer lifestyle, because a lot of the stuff she was doing in America was like, she started doing some like more like exotic dancing, not stripping by any means, but it was provocative, like sexual in nature dancing.
Mm-hmm.
She had done a few like gigs that were like, slapstick, classic 1920s entertainment, where it was like just picking fun at her race or in her culture.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it was one of those things where it's like, you're doing what you got to do to get to the next spot. Her mom didn't really like that and didn't approve of it. So she goes to France, and like shit just takes off for her. Things are like, she is this great dancer. She's going crazy. She eventually learns how to sing. Her vocal coach has called her muse. Like, literally, she's like, she's the reason I wake up in the morning. She's the most talented person I've ever worked with. Jesus. And she went from like being a very pedestrian singer to being this great singer.
Can you imagine your teacher telling you, be like, you are the reason I arise in the morning. If you were not here,
exactly.
If you were not here, I would wake up and say, why bother, and go back to sleep.
Yeah. So she popped off, dude. She straight up popped off.
Fuck yeah, get it.
She was the first black woman to star in a major motion picture.
Fuck yeah.
This was in 1927. It was a silent film called Siren of the Tropics. So she's like crushing it.
Dude, hell yeah.
She got married a third time, and she renounced her American citizenship officially.
Fuck it.
And
doesn't like America.
Yeah, she said fuck it, and she was a Frenchman.
French woman. For
the rest of her life, basically.
Yes.
So she said fuck America.
How old was she when she got married for the third time? Do you know?
I did not. I don't know.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good. Because it was like 12, 14, and then like I'm curious how much longer. What age is right?
Yeah.
We'll skip it.
I bet I can find it.
No, you're good.
Stall for me.
You're super fine. Keep on going. We'll cut that part out.
Okay. So yeah. So she's a huge popular singer and dancer. She's absolutely crushing it, and obviously, in France was much more welcoming to African Americans, or I guess not really. It doesn't have to be African Americans, just black people in general.
Yeah. I got you.
So, like, she was the first. I need to find which country this was. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
But she was the first black person, literally, to go to a country. I gotta find what country it was.
That's fine.
I hate myself.
No, you're good. I'll cut this. I'll make this clean. Or should I do radio voice?
Do some radio voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig needs to find more.
I got you.
All right.
I did it. So, 1929, she's the first, like, black star to visit Yugoslavia.
That Russian?
And she's going on a tour. It's like, I think it's like towards there, like Eastern European. But so that's huge. Like, that's crazy.
Big. Yeah.
So she became so big that I don't know if you know this or not, but this guy named Adolf Hitler
rings a bell. Is he the porn star?
No. He was like a really bad dude. So he, in the German army, invaded Poland, correct? If you do recall?
That sounds right.
Yeah. So Germany invades Poland. France declares war on Germany. And what they did, they went to Josephine Baker and they said, hey, check this out. I need you to travel to these venues. Do what you're doing, basically. Mm-hmm. Continue to perform, go on tour, make your money, do your career. But we need you to get intel on, like, these German, like, generals and just get intel, basically, about the German army. Any chance that you can.
She's a spy now.
So she's gone from that to a spy. So she's straight up in invisible ink writing notes on like her sheet music that she has for her performances. And she's taking notes on like generals of the German army and just like informants that she has, like all this stuff. And she's just being very observant. She's doing this. And she would hide her notes in her underwear when she traveled just because like she was so big there that chances are she wasn't going to get checked because she's a celebrity. So they're just going to let her walk on by. She's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
So she was literally a spy for the French army in World War II, which is absolutely freaking crazy. Yeah. So she eventually came back to America. So she's absolutely crushing it everywhere she goes.
She was like, I want to return to my roots.
Yeah. So she came back to America, and she's a huge star. So they're an owner of a venue. He says, "Hey, here's $10,000. We want you to perform." And she goes,
modest price.
Which $10,000 then is insane.
I'm gonna look up that translation. You keep going, but I'll get you a number on what that is in today's money. What year was this?
Man, that doesn't have an exact year. I would assume it's in like the 50s kind of era.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so she gets offered $10,000 in that time's money, and she says, "Fuck you, dude." Oh. And the guy's like, "What? What do you mean? I just offered you, a black woman in America, $10,000 for a performance. What the fuck are you talking about?"
This is a classic American white people that are like, you owe us. I'm giving you money and you're not going to turn it down, but you owe us. It's fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, realistically, how many black people in that time are going to get paid $10,000 to do much? You know what I mean? Like for a single like performance.
I guess, but it's not like she's obligated to. But also, fun fact, in 1950, $10,000 has the purchasing power of about $108,540.25. So over $100,000.
Yeah, so she's essentially offered $100,000 for a night.
That's pretty epic.
So she told him no, and the guy was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's insane. Like that like pays for a house, that does all this." She's like, "You have segregated audiences. I'm not performing
she's out here,
for a segregated audience."
She's out here turning down $100K in fucking the 50s because she has something she stands for. That's what's up.
Yeah. So she sticks to her guns on that. The guy's like, "Bro, come on." And bumps it up just a little bit more money wise, and she's like, "No, I'm good. I'm dead serious. Like, if I'm not performing for an audience that doesn't treat like my people fairly." Right. And so the dude's like, "Cool, whatever. Here you go. Here I'm just gonna go ahead and desegregate my audience." So no joke, like she basically like is the reason, not like the only reason, obviously, but like she was a big like on the forefront of like desegregation in like a lot of clubs and venues and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
Because I mean, like that's stupid. Obviously,
she's a fucking rock
we know
star.
that today. Yeah. So she's absolutely crushing it. So she basically spent, obviously she spent the rest of her life just doing shit like that, like just crushing it, standing up for what she believes in. When Martin Luther King was assassinated, she was offered like the unofficial leadership role of the civil rights movement.
Wow. That's pretty big.
And like which is like insane because she like, she didn't spend much time in America.
Right.
And and she made like a huge impact when she like came back. So that's insane, like how big like she was for everything. But she did decline though. But
Okay. Okay. Well, she has her own agenda.
Well, not necessarily that. It was more of just the fact that like Martin Luther King had just died, and she's like, I got a family, dog.
That's probably fair too. Yeah.
So
her own agenda of not dying. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like more just this for the safety of it. So her son wrote the biography on her, because obviously she's led a very, very interesting life. She's been in movies. She's done acting. That's the same thing. She's done movies. She's sang. She's danced. She basically learned how to sing. She's a government spy. She helped desegregate America. Like she's done all this stuff.
Bro, young gunner.
Her son says that the thing that haunts him the most about like writing his mother's story was that he never, in his like extensive research, was able to find out who her father was. Which is it's really interesting. So on her birth certificate, it literally just says EWD, like under where the father's name would go.
Okay.
So, and like I don't necessarily know that her mother knew. She might have. I would imagine she probably had an idea, but I mean, it was, her parents were like Josephine's grandparents were slaves. They're freed slaves.
Gotcha.
And her mother is a firstborn, like gets treated kind of like a person, right? So
okay, there's at least a little bit of humanity to her.
But realistically, it was still very, very
still
tough.
Bad. Yeah.
She wasn't getting like she was working like as a housekeeper for a pretty well off man, and a lot of people believe that he got her pregnant via non-consensual activity, and basically like because like the biggest thing is when she had her child, they kept her for weeks. Like they kept Josephine and her mom at the hospital for like 2 weeks, which they didn't do for black people. They only did that for white people. So there's a lot of reason to believe that her father is white. Josephine's also she was a lot lighter of complexion than her mother and her siblings.
Gotcha.
So people believe it was the guy she worked for, just really trying to cover it up. And
Edward William Dempsey. Yeah. So it's a white guy. Gotcha.
Yeah. So they assume his name is Edward. They just assume EWD stood for Edward. They were like, or EDW.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, they were just like, they're like, he's probably a guy named Edward that she worked for and just threw her away like trash. And then, so it's terrible. And her son did like a shit ton of research, like absolutely went crazy trying to figure it out. Cause he's like, yeah, it's like, man, but he just couldn't get anywhere with it.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, none of her other siblings like shared that DNA. Like there's
it's not easy.
Literally, no way to figure it out.
Especially like this late, first of all, this late, and also like how early in sciences that was. So
yeah, exactly. There's no fucking way you're gonna figure it out.
Nope.
So that was his like one regret when he was writing about her, but. All in all, man, she was a fucking absolute rock star. She did everything, bro.
Dude, hell yeah, dude. I hella advocate someone that like, because like you thinking about it like this. I'm not trying to like be that classic white person that like compares whatever. I'm just saying that like, if you put us in the shoes and someone was like, "Hey, Craig and Andy, do you want fucking $20 to talk about like I don't know Hershey's cookies and cream bars?" And I know you don't like those, Craig. I bet you'd take the deal.
Oh yeah, I'll take $20.
Take $20 to just say, "Hey, I like Hershey's cookies and cream." But she rejected $100K because they segregated her people, and that's what's up. Which, once again, I might take this out because I'm not trying to compare. the scales there are way off, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I just appreciate a woman of just like passion, and she found her like herself. She did what she was best at. You know what I mean? Like she knew her strengths and like capitalized on those, and then that got her places.
Well, and she had kind of succumbed to that too when she was younger. So it was like she played into it and did like the the comedy stuff that made fun of her and did this and that. But then she goes to France and she's like, oh wow, we don't like I don't get treated this way here.
Right.
Like
she wasn't given
insane.
a proper chance in America.
Yeah, so she goes back and she's like, listen, you fucking idiots.
Dumbasses.
Nobody gets treated like this literally anywhere else. You guys are assholes. Except for around that same time, the Jews in Germany. Not saying that doesn't...
It's a whole different story. Whole different story.
Obviously, yeah, whole different story. But like in her mind, she's like, hey, like over there, I'm literally one of the biggest stars that they have. And over here, you're gonna fucking like... treat me like a celebrity still and treat my people like shit. Like that's trash.
That doesn't make any sense because like, and that's the whole thing. The whole fucking thing. Like every other country kind of, I mean, there's probably a lot more examples that we just don't understand or there's so much lost in history, whatever. But like, take her for like Josephine for an example. She had so much value and talent. Think about all the people that were suppressed and like shut down. And what if they had super valuable talent, and not even just super valuable talent? What if what if they're just people? Like everyone's just people. Everyone has value in this world. So I don't understand like why we were like, you guys just don't have as much value though. And it's like, why? Like what reason? I don't understand.
Yeah. Like they were literally at one point considered 3/5 of a human. Like
they calculated a division by them. Does it make any sense?
Yeah, it was so when black men were first allowed to vote, there was called a 3/5 compromise. They were like, your vote isn't a full vote. You can vote, but it's 3/5 of a person basically.
Which so that means they didn't even count that. They didn't even
exactly
try to calculate that.
Yeah, and I mean, and all the time if they went to go vote, they got fucking intimidated or bullied or worse. Right. Yeah, so
it's disgusting.
Not like it fucking helped anyways. But yeah, no. So absolutely, like. She's when I first heard about her, I was like, this is like absolutely incredible. Like what a fucking crazy story.
Mm-hmm.
What a crazy human. But that's like, obviously there's a lot more that she's like done professionally, like a lot more movies, a lot more performances, stuff like that. But I figured that hit the main points of like, hey, look, entertainer, huge star, literally learned how to sing and became her teacher's fucking reason to live.
Yeah.
And then still was like a fucking spy against one of the scariest armies in the fucking history of the world.
She got guts,
and
kid.
And then finished that up, came to America and was like, hey, you white fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Got rid of it. So
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. She had a life on her. Do you know how old she got?
Yeah, let me check. I can check it real quick.
Cool.
Josephine, where'd you go? She died at 68, 1975. She passed away in France.
Okay, good. I'm glad she perished where she was home. You know what I mean?
Yep. She was 68 years old.
And some might consider that young, but that's pretty. That's pretty solid. That's a solid life she lived.
Yeah, well traveled and
well traveled, well respected.
Obviously did a lot.
Cool. I hope that inspires someone. It inspires me a little bit, so I hope that inspired someone.
Yeah,
especially anyone that might be going through something of that, somewhat of that caliber. Maybe not to that extent, but you know what I mean. Anyone with a different ethnicity, anyone that might have struggled with that in their past, anything like that. Let this be an inspiration that you are valuable. You are so useful. So get your bad self some fucking credit. I'm giving it to you right now. Yeah,
we've obviously seen in the last, not even just this last year, but obviously in the last decade, and that we've been old enough to notice and pay attention to these things, that there's a lot of work to be done, and there's still a ton of those people in that generation did some heavy lifting, but there's still just a ton to do, and treat people right is basically it.
That's all you gotta do. It's really not even that hard.
Don't treat people differently for literally anything.
If I'm being honest, it's honestly more of a challenge to treat people worse. You know how easy it is to just be nice to people? Pretty fucking easy. So, I'm not saying that we have a fucking... I hear people say this all the time that have like a podcast or like YouTube or something like that, they'll be like, we're using our platform for people's voices that can't be heard. But the thing is, we don't have that much of a voice right now. But if anyone listening to this is just like, can get some value out of this, like, please use these wonderful people through history, to inspire and make you think and be a fighter for the right causes and help clean up, as Craig was mentioning, like, so to speak, for lack of a better term, what was ingrained to us when we were here. Because we didn't choose what happened to us in the past, but we can sure as a fuck choose what happens in the future. So let's kind of do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, like, I mean, black people get killed in the streets all the time, which is obviously just wrong and terrible. Polling places in low-income neighborhoods that target black people get shut down to make it harder for them to get out and vote in Republican states. Just all kinds of stuff like that. And then
the
obviously,
list could go on.
Yeah, it could go on. There's just a million things that need to change, and there's just a ton of work to be done. And it's nice to have a good story of, like, because, like, obviously Martin Luther King was a great man, and he was killed for it. So right. It's nice when someone in that era who, like, stood for something didn't get fucking, like...
Yeah. It feels like a win. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds kind of not, I don't want to say cynical, because I'm thinking Martin Luther King Jr. was a win. You know what I mean? But, like, when you hear this kind of story, it's like a win-win. I don't know how to say that politely. Because MLK was like a true martyr. He stood for what he needed to, and it's still making waves to this very day. So that's good. But this one, I'm glad that she, lived to a pretty old age and had success in her life in terms of just everything. She had a lot of success, and that's good to hear. So,
yeah, I'm also glad she was able to dip out of America.
Exactly. They didn't hunt her for sport like other people that might have had that problem in that era. So,
yeah.
Is that all you got for Miss Francine? Can you say her name again?
It was Josephine Baker.
Oh, Josephine Baker. Thank you, Josephine Baker.
Her real name is Frida, so that's where that came from. That
Gotcha. Any other information on her?
No, I would just say, if you're interested in her, like, just literally Google her. There's a million more things that she did that, like,
I'm sure,
like, also impressive. So it's really, really interesting person who lived a really, really interesting life. So that's the brink of it for sure. But there's just the list goes on for sure.
Hell yeah! And I know you said there's an autobiography written by her son. I'm sure that was very detail oriented. Probably check that out. Probably find that pretty easy. So hell yeah, cool. Well, my story, also in honor of Black History Month, I went that direction. Mine's not about one person. I just have several stories that might have been forgotten through history, or perhaps some people just aren't aware of, like you mentioned before, where it was like, whoever invented peanut butter, that whole thing. I don't know. Just little kind of nitpicks like that. So I just have a few of those. So this won't be too long, but I'll let you take the spotlight for today's episode, and I'll just say a few goodies. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Let's do it.
This is from pbs.org. I just found a bunch of fun little it's just 10 little known Black history facts, and I'll just read a few of those. So before there was Rosa Parks, there was Claudette Colvin. She apparently was, before Rosa Parks, and had the same story happen, but with different situations. So let me explain. So most people think of Rosa Parks as the first person to refuse to give up their seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. But there was actually several women who came before her. One of them was Claudette Colvin. So on March 2nd, 1955, when the 15-year-old schoolgirl refused to move to the back of the bus, 9 months before Rosa Parks, Claudette had been studying Black leaders like Harriet Tubman in her segregated school. Those conversations had led to discussions around the current day by Jim Crow laws, and they were all that they were all experiencing. So when the bus driver ordered Claudette to get up, she refused. Quote, "It felt like Sojourner Truth was on one side pushing me down, and Harriet Tubman was on the other side pushing me down. I couldn't get up." End quote. That was from Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin's stand didn't stop there. Arrested and thrown in jail, she was one of the 4 women who challenged the segregation law in court. If Browder versus Gale became the court case that successfully overturned bus segregation laws in both Montgomery and Alabama, why has Claudette's story been largely forgotten? At the time, the NAACP and other black organizations felt Rosa Parks made a better icon for the movement than a teenager. As an adult with the right look, Rosa Parks was also the secretary of the NAACP and was both well-known and respected. People would associate her with the middle class, and that would attract support for the cause. But the struggle to end segregation was often fought by young people, more than half of which were women. So, just a little fun little story. And she's not the first person to deny a white person of making them go to the back of this bus, but she's just a known one that she also fought in a different case as well. Like she should get her name should be remembered too. But Rosa Parks was just like, like they were just saying, more of like a figure that could hopefully get more people, which is, that makes sense too. But, don't forget Claudette Colvin and people like her.
Yeah. She was actually trending on Twitter today.
Claudette Colvin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really?
Well, for literally, just this exact same thing. Just was like, hey, don't forget this.
Hell yeah.
Which is crazy.
Didn't even plan that.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, she was obviously like, yeah, it's crazy. Because, we hear about Rosa Parks, like, that's one of the 5 black people they teach you about in a Kansas elementary school.
Right.
There's Harriet Tubman, MLK, George Washington Carver, fucking Rosa Parks, and then, like, maybe there's only 4. Maybe there's only 4 black people you learn about in high school, or in elementary school. So, it's crazy that they were like, hey, this happened, and, like, because... as a grown-up, you learn that Rosa Parks was a plant, and they, like, knew this was going to happen, so they're like... So they're just like, yeah, you go out there and do this, and it's like, we know what's going to happen, but this way we'll be able to stir up some headlines and get the voice out there.
Which, reasonably so, kind of. Like, you want to get this to spread, because it's important information, but, you could probably sell all the stories. I don't understand why you couldn't just explain all of it, but it's all good. We're getting there now.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, you could even argue, like, I guess if you wanted to get to it, you could be like, well, she's a kid and she should listen to
authority.
Respect the authority of the bus driver because this and that. It very well, like, they could have been like, oh, it's not racist. Because,
but I got something for you, authority. Fuck you, dude. Anarchy.
Exactly. So, if you do it, but if you just do it with a grown up. Who's just like, and they're like, hey, well, I mean, I'm sure he said no black people at the bus, but at the front of the bus. But, you do it to a grown up. There's no other reason, there's literally no other thing you could say to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So just, keep that in mind. Claudette Colvin. Excellent young lady. Okay, move on here to, let's do... I like this one. 1 in 4 cowboys was black, despite the stories told in popular books and movies. Do you motherfuckers know that? All you yee cowboys out there? Fucking 1 in 4 were probably black.
Oh, okay. You said it very quick, I think, the first time, and I was like, wait. What are we talking about? I don't know. Well, I think you just said the thing quick, so it didn't register in my brain what you said the first time.
Oh, my bad. I speak fast. I'm spitting raps, bro. So let me explain. In fact, it's believed that the real Lone Ranger was inspired by an African-American man named Bass Reeves. Reeves had been born a slave but escaped west during the Civil War, where he lived in what we know as is what was known as Indian Territory. He eventually became the Deputy U.S. Marshal, was a master of disguise, an expert marksman, had a Native American companion, and rode a silver horse. His story was not unique, however. Which sounds pretty crazy, because that sounds pretty unique. In the 19th century, the Wild West drew enslaved blacks with the hope of freedom and wages. When the Civil War ended, freedmen came west with the hope of a better life where the demand for skilled labor was high. These African Americans made up at least a quarter of the legendary cowboys who lived dangerous lives facing weather, rattlesnakes, and outlaws while they slept under the stars driving cattle herds to market. While there was little formal segregation in frontier towns and a great deal of personal freedom, black cowboys were often expected to do more of the work and the roughest jobs compared to their white counterparts. Loyalty did develop between the cowboys on a drive, but the black cowboys were typically responsible for breaking the horses and being the first ones to cross flooded streams during cattle drives. In fact, it is believed that the term cowboy originated as a derogatory term used to describe black cowhands. Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, actually.
Fun fact, if you say cowboy, it might be a slur. I hope not.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. I think. Yeah. Now I just make fun of rednecks with it, so
yeah,
it's all good.
Okay, it's full circle. We're all good. We should be good with it. But yeah, fun fact. There you go.
Yeah. Fun fact about Bass Reeves. He was an escaped slave.
Yes.
And he escaped to go live with the Seminole Indians.
That West Side, dude. That's that fucking West Side gang shit. What's up?
Yeah, dude. So he basically like stayed with them, learned how to hunt and track, got very, very good at it. Eventually, a sheriff was like, "Listen, I need you to help me like get some guys." So he goes and gets these guys, like 3 brothers, gets them all, beats them all down, takes them to jail. And this is why the Lone Ranger is based off of him, because he put 3,000 men in jail.
That's, you know how fucking incredible that is?
That's a rad. Lot of people. Yeah. So that's literally insane. That like there's not a single cop in this country that's probably put 3,000 people personally in jail. I guarantee I highly
doubt that. That's because we're all a bunch of fucking losers now.
Yeah.
This guy has,
and there's a lot less people too. Like so
that's
3,000 people, and there's probably only 3,000 people over there.
That's the whole entirety of the West continent. Like that was everybody that was bad in that area. He was like, he ran out of work. He's probably like, I don't have anything else to do. I'm fucking bored.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna put some people in jail. We got this.
He's like, you see some one person jaywalk. He's like, hey, listen, sorry, chief, I fucking gotta put you in the jail because I'm bored. But so yeah, that's a fun one. I'm glad you're spitting facts that are outside of me speaking. So keep it coming. Let's see if you know this one. The first licensed African American female pilot was named Bessie Coleman. So, born in Atlanta, Texas, in 1892, Bessie Coleman grew up in a world of harsh poverty, discrimination, and segregation. She moved to Chicago at 23 to seek her fortune, but found little opportunity there as well. Wild tales of flying exploits from returning World War I soldiers first inspired her to explore aviation, but she faced a double stigma in that dream, being both African American and a woman. She set her sights high on France, hell yeah, in order to reach her dreams and began studying French. In 1920, Coleman crossed the ocean with all of her savings and the financial support of Robert Abbott, who one of the first African-American millionaires. So that's another side story. So over the next 7 months, she learned to fly, and in June of 1921, the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale awarded her an international pilot's license. Wildly celebrated upon her return to the United States, reporters returned out in droves to greet her. Once again, it's one of those things where these excellent, talented people are like not getting, the chance to be excellent in America. They go to probably France and they slay that shit. They fucking, yes, queen, slay that bitch. And then they come back and all the Americans are like, oh my God, excellent. We need you here. Oh, and it's like, you can piss off, but
exactly.
So they come out in droves to greet her, being like, "We knew she's one of us. She's excellent." Coleman performed at numerous air shows over the next 5 years, performing heart-thrilling stunts, encouraging other African Americans to pursue flying, and refusing to perform where black people were not admitted. When she tragically died in a plane accident, oh no, in 1926, famous writer and equal rights advocate Ida B. Wells presided over her funeral. An editorial in the Dallas Express stated, quote, "There is reason to believe that the general public did not completely sense the size of her contribution to the achievements of the race as such," end quote. So, just by her doing the shit she loves, and she fucking loved it so much, she died doing it. So, and then that's probably nothing to do with her skill either. I bet her plane, it's just an older time. Planes were different back then. This is 1926. People say that she was an achievement of her race as such. So like that's crazy. So hella talented.
Yeah, no, I knew of her, but I didn't know.
No fun facts?
Yeah, I don't have any fun facts. I just knew that. Yeah, I just knew like what she did. I didn't know like about like basically doing what Josephine Baker did and being like, "Hey, you're not gonna let black people in here. You can fucking
suck me
kick
off,
grass, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can fucking kiss your son, Tom Brady. You MAGA wearing motherfucker."
Did you see his fucking tweet or whatever it was? It was like, what am I gonna do for the next 5 months? ... question mark. I mean, is your son around?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Just
let's talk about someone that has real talent, like this pilot.
Facts.
Named Bessie Coleman. Okay, I'll just maybe do one or two more if we're feeling it, but this one is the diverse history of historically black colleges and universities. So while Jewish and African American communities have a tumultuous shared history when it comes to the pursuit of civil rights, there is a chapter that is often overlooked. In the 1930s, when Jewish academics from Germany and Austria were dismissed from their teaching positions, many came to the United States looking for jobs. Due to the Depression, xenophobia, and rising anti-Semitism, many found it difficult to find work, but more than 50 found positions at HBCUs and the segregated South. Originally established to educate freed slaves to read and write, the first of the historically black colleges and universities was Cheney University in Pennsylvania, established in 1837. By the time Jewish professors arrived, the number of HBCUs had grown to 78. At a time when both Jews and African Americans were persecuted, Jewish professors in the black colleges found the environment comfortable and accepting, often creating special programs to provide opportunities to engage blacks and whites in meaningful conversation, often for the first time. In the years that followed, the interests of Jewish and African American communities increasingly diverged, but this once shared experience of discrimination and interracial cooperation remains a key part of the civil rights movement. So that's a fun one, where it's just like all these Jewish people came over to America, and they noticed that these black people were just not getting the education that they deserve, and so they were like, hey, we have a common kind of trend. Let's help them out tremendously. And so they would do that.
Yeah. In the last year, there's been a real uptick in highly ranked college basketball players opting to go to HBCUs rather than a bigger school like Duke or Kentucky or Kansas or Ohio State or fuck you, Ohio. Yeah, not like the top recruits, but solid upper echelon for sure of people who will probably at least get a shot at professional basketball.
Hell yeah.
So that's been a huge uptick, which is great because, basically what you do when you're a college basketball player, especially if you're an African American college basketball player, you go there, make them literally billions of dollars.
Yes.
In just a year's time. If you look at Zion Williamson, just a few years ago, the amount of money he made for Duke to literally not make. I mean, I'm sure they, if we're real, he probably got paid something. But
something, yeah.
The amount of he made them billions, and my guy probably sure he got a free year of school, whatever, but that he made white people just tons and tons of money. So it's interesting, and it's really nice to see the shift in the culture that happened in the last year with that. Just because it's cool. Do it for the culture, and those particular prospects were hey, white people just keep profiting off of people like me.
Yeah, their ethnicities that have the actual
and
talent.
I could at least do that for my own people, or people who actually care about me. So I thought that was cool. Really interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's pretty neat. Just I know I said it, but I want to say it one more time. HBCUs are historically black colleges and universities. So just to reiterate what that is. So
yes,
excellent. I'm glad. Yes, please support that. I'm going to do one more just because I want to end on a little... I mean, that was a decent note, but I'm going to do one more just for the fun notes. This is the earliest recorded protest against slavery was by the Quakers in 1688. A fat sec ago.
Been a minute, yeah. One or 2 minutes.
1 or 2 even, probably more than that. Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends, adorable, have a long history of abolition, but it was 4 Pennsylvania friends from Germantown who wrote the initial protest in the 17th century. They saw the slave trade as a grave injustice against their fellow man and used the golden rule to argue against such inhumane treatment, regardless of skin color. Quote, "We should do unto others as we should have done unto ourselves." End quote. In their protest, they stated, quote, "Pray what thing in the world can be done worse towards us than if men should rob or steal us away and sell us for slaves to strange countries, separating houseband from their wife and children." End quote. Their protest against slavery and human trafficking was presented at a monthly meeting at Dublin and Philadelphia. The Dublin monthly meeting reviewed the protest but sent it to the quarterly meeting, feeling it to be too serious of an issue for their own meeting to decide. The 4 friends continued their efforts and presented at the Philadelphia yearly meeting, but it wasn't until 88 years later that the Society of Friends officially denounced slavery. Over the centuries, this rare document has been considered lost twice. Most recently, it was rediscovered in 2005, and now a Haverford College special collection. So, hey, out here in 1688, some of those Quakers, man, they got your back. They're out here thinking, like, we're all humans, like, let's just be chill about it. And so it's just good to hear that even back then, under all these people, like, you would consider everyone was just straight up racist, you know. At least that's like the stigma, because it sort of kind of feels like, and that's what most likely was like a lot of it. But like, there's people out there, you know, like, not everyone is like that, so that's kind of good.
Yeah, it's always nice when you have just some little stuff like that, because, like, obviously, I mean, we've seen, like, the videos throughout, like, the George Floyd riots and all that stuff in 2020, and, like, yeah, white people, like, we're there, right? I mean, we're a part of it. We want to help. Not all of us, obviously,
right.
But generally the way it goes is the other side of that is much, much louder and much
right.
more, like, much more in your face about
exactly.
it. So, like, you know, if I imagine the racist guy is gonna be the one you notice for sure. So
yes. Unfortunately,
it fucking, yeah, because it sucks that way. But yeah, it's nice when people are like, hey, humans are just, we're all just people. It is cool.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Like, we're all literally humans. I don't fucking stand the problem, but okay. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything else to it. It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
It's just crazy. It's crazy to think about now, and it's crazy to think about back then. It's just insane. But that's all I'm going to share with you today. I hope I didn't want to get super, super serious with mine per se, so I just kind of kept it where it is. But you know, tonight we talked about a little bit of sensitive material. I would kind of say, like, hopefully it was more informational than anything. So I hope we told their stories and their names properly and gave them the justice that they deserve. So we hope that you learned a lot here, because I learned a little bit tonight, so that's super good.
I mean, there's a ton to, like, just consume it, you know, like,
exactly.
If you're a white person listening to this, legitimately, I would, like, just consume black media content.
Open up your mind
books.
for that. Yep.
Yeah, like, just read it. Like, it's just such a different point of view.
Yeah.
Like, the culture, like, the history. Like, there's just so much that you can learn from, like, just the everyday struggle,
right? Versus
I mean, there's a show on ABC. It's called Blackish. Now, it's not like it's not. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Blackish is the epitome of black culture or anything like that. But if you're a white person and don't believe that, like, you have, like, any sort of privilege, I mean, they are definitely not afraid to touch the subject of race at all, and they will absolutely make you check your privilege for for the whole episode, and, like, rightfully so. So, like, there's just a ton of good black content out there that you should absolutely take in, because like, it's important. Yeah, sure, George Washington Carver is dope. Like, peanut butter's sick. I love it. You know, but there's like so many just, like, interesting figures out there that you don't learn about. No, right. Your teachers are not going to tell you about them.
Nope. You'll have to
just,
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go and find it.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you might just stumble across it, and that's the point. That's the whole point of consuming as much as you can, because then you might stumble across something that you've never heard of or even considered. And that's what we were kind of trying to do here tonight, was tell you some stories that you might not have heard of, just so you can kind of be exposed to even more incredible just features and details from our brothers and sisters that have just been maybe even forgotten through history. So we are here to not forget them and not let you forget them, because it's just important.
Yeah, and fun fact, just a recommendation that I have off the top of my head from someone in this episode. There's an episode of Drunk History. If you have access to Drunk History, there's an episode where they do talk about Bass Reeves. And Jaleel White plays Bass Reeves, and it's very funny.
That's amazing. I have not seen that. I need to. I think it's on Hulu, unless they took it off.
It is, yeah. Yeah, as far as I know, it's on Hulu also. But yeah, it's super interesting. And obviously the show is it's very lighthearted, and yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, cool, Craig. I'm glad we did this today. I'm glad we did History Month on such a important topical month. You know, February is a very important month for history, and so that was a good choice, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
What do we? Now, this will most likely be the last episode. Is that correct?
Yes, I would have to imagine, unless we can pull some crazy shit out, but most likely,
yeah, very unlikely we have anything else. So this is going to be the last episode for History Month, and since I chose History Month, it was obviously February, so the short month, and we did the relationship advice in there too. So we turn to March. Yeah. And it is Andrew's time to shine, baby.
All right, you ready for this, Craig? Ready? You got Movie March Madness. Yeah, dude, we're going to do movies. And I know you're like, Andrew, how do you tell stories on movies? They're like, do I just retell you the synopsis of a movie? Well, I mean, I guess you could. That'd be silly. But I'm talking like, there are so many stories that you motherfuckers don't even know about. Like, did you know that the Passion of the Christ was a cursed film set and many, many problems happened on it? That's a fun one. And actually, a lot of horror movies like The Exorcist would also be considered a cursed film set because so many problems happen. There's so many things that happen on those sets that was like story worthy. Other than that, if you want to just tell me about like the history behind Shreks 1 through 4, fucking hit me with that. Like, is there some weird backstory? Is there some weird like animation problems they had to overcome? You know, if you just want to hit up DreamWorks, you tell me all about DreamWorks. You want to tell me about some sort of Disney shit. I mean, movies go on and on. So, I mean, there's stories.
Yeah, no, it'll be a fun one. We'll dive around it. We'll find some topics.
Mine's gonna all be spooky. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that is true. I think at this point, I think it is a safe bet that they will be spooky.
Yep.
And we love the spookies. I'm a big fan of spooky.
Good. So keep thinking on that, Craig. We need you to think on that, and we will see you lovely goons sometime beginning of March. So we hope we enjoyed some history. We hope you enjoyed some fantastic love advice, and maybe we'll have a special episode this upcoming month. Okay, so yeah, and about that really quick, we were going to make, in honor of Drunk History, a little Drunk History episode, but just based on like time constraints and other like obligations that we had to deal with, we couldn't actually get to the Drunk History Month episode. So we might just put a bookmark in it and come back later with that sometime, but we just wanted to address that really quick because we did mention that we were going to do that. So put a pin in it.
Yeah.
We'll hit it later.
My doctor told me I shouldn't.
What's going on? Do you want to talk about it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. They don't need to know. It's just a suggestion, a friendly doctor suggestion. We'll be all right for now. But so
I'm fine though. Don't worry.
Right.
I'm okay.
Don't get nervous out here. But we cannot. He can't drink fluids normally, and he's speaking through a robot right now. So that's okay though.
Dink dink.
But all right, goons. We love you. We hope to see you the next episode. Keep the numbers rising, please. Please.
Yeah. Share with your friends. Listen to it 4 times. Once again, I know we hit it at the top. Interact with us. Follow us on Twitter, individually and on the podcast. Email us any fun stories you've got.
Yep.
And if you like, I know we said this also earlier in an episode. Take advantage, or did we say this, or is this a different podcast? I think this is a different podcast.
I get them confused all the time, bro. We're good.
But if you have a senile grandmother, okay, listen, throw a little AirPod in her ears.
Okay.
Pick up her phone, play Stories with the Boys on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can leave it on full blast. You can put it on mute, and you just tell Grandma she's doing it for us, doing it for the boys.
It's homework assignment.
Exactly.
And okay, you know what? Fair enough. So if you guys happen to do that, this little message goes out to all you grandmas and maybe grandpas out there. But what's up, baby?
Yeah, what's up, baby?
Fuck, like, how you been?
How's it going, dude? How are you?
I would kiss you on the mouth right now if you were.
Oh, you're gonna go play bingo without me?
Fuck. I hope you get like $50 fucking dollars. Like,
yeah, I hope you get bingo first, so you get to pick your prize.
Oh, even better. Fucking, I hope the caller. I don't know where I was going with that. Don't forget that you have a turkey in the oven.
Yeah.
Don't forget,
your dog's outside too.
Go
get your dog.
Outside. Go get the dog. And your grandkids say hi.
Yeah, he won't stop doing Fortnite dances.
Yeah, So and make sure you give him some V-Bucks. He'll know. Just say, I'm ready to give you V-Bucks, and he or she will know. So, got your back, Grandma.
I'm gonna tell you a quick story that you'll have to edit out. But
do you want to like end it and then tell me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
I love you, Grandma.
Just let them know that I'm gonna tell you a story, and then they never get to hear it. I'm good with that.
Okay, everyone. All right, Goon. Sorry you don't get to hear this story, but this is a little Andy Craig personal story. So, tell your grandmas you love them.